Afternoon.
Can you just sum up the results as they have been announced thus far?
Well, I've just come out of a briefing that is still on as we speak, where the Zambia Electoral Commission was addressing political parties, observers, diplomats, as well, of course, as us, the media. Well, they gave an update. You will recall in my last crossing a short while ago, I said there were 9 constituencies left, and all of us were expecting, most of us were expecting the final result, in other words, the outcome of all remaining 9 constituencies. Alas, it was not to be. We were given results of 5 constituencies, and there's still 4 more left, and the Commission hopes that by 14:30 this afternoon, all constituencies will have counted, and between that time and early evening, they will be able to announce the very final result. But as things stand, you have Mr. Edgar Lungu of the Patriotic Front still leading with about 47.9, and Mr. Lungu with about 47.1. Very, very tight indeed. And as I say, there's still 4 more constituencies left. And what's perhaps a little more interesting with the results that just came through was that Mr. Hichilema seemed to be getting, in fact, was leading in many of them, and has been able to once again narrow that gap. Obriel?
Parties just accepting the results, if they, the results that have been announced so far.
Well, I guess they have to. The interesting thing is that my colleague Sophie Mukwena was at the briefing where Hakainde Hichilema, who remains a very close behind Mr. Lungu, seemed to be conceding that he has been defeated, just to get a couple of points from that briefing. One of the things he said was Edgar Lungu knows he stole this election. Now, those are words of someone who has thrown in the towel. Edgar Lungu knows he stole this election. He did, of course, also say that he has plans for 2016, and he hopes that that election will be held under a new constitution which will guarantee a truly independent ECZ. That is the body that is running the election. But what's interesting also is that, as those who would have watched my earlier crossing, is that he had praises for the Electoral Commission, in particular the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, for bringing sanity at a time when this country could have easily descended into chaos and perhaps violence.
And further to that, what then are the election observer teams? What are they saying about the conduct of this election? Was it generally free, fair, and credible?
Well, observers have already pronounced. They pronounced 2 days ago. SADeC, which was led by a foreign or international relations minister, Maite Ngwane Mashabane, pronounced to say the election was free, fair, and all the laws of the country were indeed observed. The African Union said as much, although not quite. They did say that, generally speaking, the election was free and fair, but did say that they would release their own report in about 20 days' time or so. But former President Kgalema Motlanthe did also make some additional comments which were welcomed by Zambian parties, and that was to say pretty much what Mr. Hakainde Hichilema just said at the briefing he addressed a short while ago, and that is to say that over the next year or so before the 2016 election, Zambians have to take a very strong and a long and hard look at themselves, but in particular focus on looking at their constitution, because their constitution has a lot of loopholes. In fact, this country wouldn't be where it is now had Zambians and political parties in particular, because they are the legislatures, they should have looked at their constitution and perhaps amended it, because no one seems, or not everyone seems averse, except of course the Patriotic Front, to an idea of saying if you have a deputy and something like what happened where President Sata died happened, you then ought to have the deputy president, allow the deputy president to become president until the next election, because this by-election is only for 18 months. In 18 months' time, this country is going to be back where we are today. So it really doesn't make sense, but also financially, for a country that has so many things to do, that has a lot of priorities that have to do with poor people, you really have to put your money in the areas where it matters. To spend more than $700 million US on an election that's going to, whose results are going to be nullified or are going to be null and void in 18 months' time, is indeed a bit of a waste of money.
And very briefly and finally, Vuyo, what is the mood in the streets? What are Zambians saying and thinking as they await the final result?
Well, it's one of anxiety. It's one of anxiety because everyone is looking forward to the final result. But as I was saying like earlier, a lot could have happened here over the past couple of days, where there are no people in this country to show leadership, to lead by example, to stand their ground, to rally Zambians around their constitution, flawed as it might be, but also to rally their people around peace, and to say to them, look, you've been peaceful all along. You are a nation that is renowned for being peaceful. Don't lose your head. Maintain your cool heads. Where we have problems, let's look at how to resolve them, but do not resort to violence. Do not resort to anarchy. And I think that helped indeed. But of course, the anxiety of wanting to know that final result is palpable. It is right. It is there for everyone to see.
Well, many thanks, Vuyo. And I must say, we will indeed cross back to you after 14:30 as we also anxiously await the final results of the Zambian election. But thanks once again.